Hi, it's Josh, and I made a boo-boo. I was recording my video today during my drive, and the primary video I took was done in hyperlapse. So the entire video came in just under 2 minutes, and it's very fast. And I have the backup recording, which shows me driving, and that's probably more interesting than watching me talking. So I thought I would still go ahead and put the video out. And at the very end, I will pin the hyperlapse as an outtake because it's kind of classic as an outtake. And thanks for watching. And here we go with the video. Okay, thanks. Okay, well, back in town, and I have a fun story to tell you. Let's get into traffic. Let's go. So when you get a new car, you're always excited to share with your friends and family. And so I was going over to see my mom. She's 91, and said, "I got a new car. I'll show it to you." And she's used to me buying new cars over the years, and so nothing really excites her that much. I'm driving at the same time. Nothing really excites her that much. So I didn't record this because I wasn't expecting the reaction that I got. But basically, when I drove up, the first reaction I got was, "What did you do?" She didn't like it at all. She just thought, she thinks that it's too big, it's needless, and doesn't understand why I needed anything this big. And yet it's the thing that's going to help her move in about a week. So, you know, everybody has a different flavor of favorite car, but it just turns out that my mom really reacted strongly to this one. She thought it was kind of big and stodgy and clunky, and, you know, probably all the things that I like about it. But it was kind of fun to watch her overreact, because normally people like things, and I guess, I don't know, as you get older, the filter just gets a little less. So she had plenty of opinions and didn't understand why I needed anything that wasn't a Mini, because she's fond of that car. But it was just an interesting experience to watch her kind of freak out over my choice. And frankly, that's okay. Everybody has their opinion, but what mattered most is that she actually can climb in and out of it just fine, and it's plenty of room. So I think that her just reacting to the size, because my sister drives a Defender, and so, you know, she's like, "Why do you kids all have these big cars?" I don't know. We like big cars. You feel a little safer out here in a big car. But yeah, so my mom doesn't like my Grenadier and Tier. Well, I'll get over it. And so I'm back in town. I've been out of town and not driving, and so this coming few weeks I'll be able to drive a little bit more, and still not having any problems. That's great. The only thing that I think I continually have on my mind are two things. One is looking, because I'm coming from a Mini, looking at all the garages that I'm going near to see what their height limit is, because I'm still a little feeling very big as a vehicle. And then the second thing that I'm finding that I still am a little not adjusted to is making U-turns, and looking at an intersection and going, can I make a U-turn there? Because I'm still, and it may be because I'm still driving between two cars that drive very differently, still not quite adjusting my driving style for the steering in this car. And it is an adjustment, and it's something that when you test drive, or if you've got one, you kind of adapt it, and it just takes a little bit of time. And so now that I'm back in and going to be driving more, I think it's one of those things that I'll settle into. But it's still on my mind, is like, ooh, do I take that turn later and wider, or do I start turning immediately? And so I find myself kind of calculating that as I drive. But that's okay. It's not a problem. It's just a learning exercise, and I feel like I'll adjust to it. But no warning lights, and any rattle that I hear now, I kind of source coming from something that I put in the door, or, because when I got the car, it didn't have rattles. And there's a couple things that wiggle or wobble, and I think it has more to do with something I put as opposed to something that has come loose. Because it's a solid feel. For those people that are evaluating a Grenadier, you'll be very impressed with how solid the car feels. And with those of you that have one, you already know it's pretty much built like a tank. And it's a really good feel when you're driving to be up higher, and I don't know, I feel very safe in it. And that's kind of how you want to be nowadays. And I live in the urban jungle, I always say. And so I'm not a big off-roader. And so I'm kind of an outlier when it comes to, why are you buying a car like this? Because I get a lot of questions from people asking me about, tires and things. And frankly, I don't know the world of off-roading that much. I tend to pick cars that look like they'd be great Matchbox cars. If I had a toy when I was a kid and it looked like a little Porsche, that's the Porsche that I want to drive. And the same thing goes with trucks. The Grenadier should become a Lego or something else, because it's just sort of iconic. It just has that look, and that's how people react to it. I'm still watching how people respond to it with either the "what is it?" or "wow, that's cool, it reminds me of this," or "is it a resto mod?" And I didn't know what resto mod was until I got my Grenadier. And a resto mod is basically a restored modification, modified old version of something. So like if you had an old Defender and you brought it up to date and put everything all new and made it all shiny and updated with technology, that's a resto mod. Didn't know that. And so it's been kind of fun watching how people react to it. But I'm not having complaints. Okay, I've got a warning light. What is my warning light? Speed assist limited function. That's still an annoyance. And the only thing I can say is I did have a talk with my dealer, and there's a software update that was released to the United States in the beginning of the third quarter, but it's not due to be launched versus released, until closer to the end of Q3. And so he says it's currently in test with the United States, because every country has its different regulations, and there may be people that have already gotten this software update. But he said, frankly, the key feature of this software update is the ability to remove the speed limit, the overspeed limit, to turn it off and have it stay off. When it comes to some of these warning lights, I've learned, for instance, if I'm on the freeway and I'm in the express lane where it's got those little walls on each side of you, the camera freaks out and it says that the speed assist and the lane assist isn't available. And I get that it tells me that it's not available, but it sort of comes across as like something's broken, as opposed to here's some information. And yes, they do have different colors. They have red, yellow, green, and I guess blue for these different warning lights on the instrument panel. But your head instantly goes to what's wrong when you see something like that. And so I'm still adjusting to the warning light that I started talking about at the beginning of this. It's already off. And so they clear themselves, and that's fine. It's all well and good. But I just feel like that's probably something that they can do better. But it doesn't really affect the drivability of the car. I just don't want to think that there's something wrong with the car while I'm driving it. And I think, if anything, people may have impressions that there are problems with the car. I don't really think there are. I think earlier builds had some air conditioning problems, and I had mine resolved before I even picked the car up, because when it test drove it, it had a problem. Like all the coolant leaked out, and it turned out it was a known problem that they rectified. So I think newer versions probably won't have the problem, but I do know some people that have repeated problems with that. But no, my air conditioning is working fine. It was a big concern. I mean, I live in Southern California, but we still rely on our air conditioning, and you don't want that not to work. But favorite features that I never use, the toot. The toot button is great, because nowadays you might want to let somebody know that it's time to go when you're at a light, but you don't want to blast them with your horn, because people just assume you're being aggressive, and a toot is just appropriate for something like that. And so I like that feature, and it's something that you see when you go through the marketing literature, but then all of a sudden you don't ever use it. I mean, you barely use it. So in the coming weeks, I'm going to be making some videos on my DIY updates for things that I've done to my Grenadier, because I've been working slowly at, adding some things and figuring out storage, because this is a big car with like no storage, like for things. There's a little box here in the middle, and there's a glove box that won't really hold a pair of gloves. If you're using work gloves, they're not fitting in the glove box. You can put your registration and your owner's manual. And this is one car that I'm actually keeping the owner's manual in the glove box, because I find myself referring to it just to learn things. And so I have been trying to figure out clever ways of storage. I've been trying to figure out some lighting, and also power, because there's power available, and it's more about convenience. So anyway, I'm going to be creating some videos about that, and I'll have some things now that I'm back in town to start sharing. It takes a little while to figure out what to say. I'm not, you can tell I'm not a professional YouTuber. I like sharing, but I just, I'm still learning. Still, thanks for bearing with me. I appreciate it. And I always forget to ask, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel if you have any interest in things like the Grenadier. I also have done videos regarding car buying in general, and I'm about to do an update to the Costco Auto program, because I'm a big believer in that, even though I wasn't able to use it for my Grenadier because it's just too new, and there aren't dealers that are hungry for Grenadier buyers at the moment. So please consider subscribing. It will help me out greatly. And going back to my mom, my 91-year-old mom, I actually am going to monetize this channel if I can to help her out, because at the age of 91, she became single. My stepdad passed away. But as kids, we found out that he left the house to his kids. And so all of a sudden my mom's homeless at 91. So we're moving her into a place that's a little closer to where I live. And so all of a sudden she's, gone from living in a house rent-free to now having to pay rent every month. And it's like, so looking for a little way to help her supplement income. So anyway, your subscription would help that. And I'm on my way at the moment to the periodontist, because when you start getting older, parts start going wrong. And my teeth just don't want to make it for the entire trip. So anyway, I think that's about it for now. I really appreciate you watching, and please stay tuned for some things coming up. I'm looking forward to putting out some videos, because I've been doing a couple of fun things here with my car, and I'm looking forward to sharing them with you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.